I'm Terrence James, and today I've got the keys for a brand new 2024 Volkswagen Golf GTI Manual. And the question I want to have answered today is this new Mark 8 with all of its fancy new modern tech, even further refinement and even more front-wheel drive performance, enough to draw someone like me away from my beloved Mark 7 Golf GTI. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this for a drive, tell you all about it and tell you what's changed, and then do some of our fun feels tests and lead to our final thoughts. And this should be interesting because this is actually the first time that I've driven this car. So here we go. All right, golf ball shifter and start button. Good start. And didn't stall it. Okay, so the first thing I'd like to do is give a shout out to Delmar Motors in London, Ontario, my hometown, because they truly are a group of driving enthusiasts. I think it must be a prerequisite to own or have owned at some time a GTI to work here, because almost everybody that I know here has a GTI or has owned one. And actually, funny enough, the guy that sold us our GTI still works here. He's a manager, and what he did was he actually came to our house one time and took me and my wife out separately for a drive in his GTI Mark 7, and I think it had 400 or 500 horsepower. Now this guy is around the same size or a little bit smaller than me, so I'm sitting in the passenger seat, which was the normal seat, and he is in some sort of racing bucket that is glued to the bottom of the floor. You barely see over the steering wheel, and his arms are just shaking as he's going. He did a really good job. He actually bought an RS3 and had it almost 1,000 horsepower, and now has a 1LE that he let us borrow for you in the show. So anyway, yeah, lots of fun with the GTIs. So the story of the GTI started way back in 1974, so 50 years ago, and then the GTI story wasn't long after that, a couple years after that, and it was the sporty one, of course, and they've sold just about every kind of shape, size, and color of GTI, or sorry, just say GTI Golf. Since then, you've got convertibles and 3-doors and estate wagons and, of course, 5 doors like this, and you name it, all-wheel drive performance ones. So it's quite a vehicle. Actually, they've sold more than any other vehicle in the whole world, up there with the Toyota Corolla and Ford F-150. So top 3 selling vehicles in the whole world. But the reason why it started was because, of course, Volkswagen is famous for that Beetle. Now, that Beetle was iconic looking, really awesome, and it was rear-wheel drive, rear-engine, air-cooled, but then we had a gas crisis. So there was a war in the Middle East, and there was not a lot of gas to go around, and what they had to do to stay open was to change to a wedge Econo box front-wheel drive, front-engine machine, which anyone else probably would have thought was a mistake, but it wasn't, because, as we said, it's been amazing selling. And every time I look at this thing, I think, why do I like it so much? How can you take basically a cheese wedge and make it look elegant and sporty and expensive when it's really not any of those things to that level of what this car really is? It's amazing. So really, the GTI is the only thing that you can get in North America nowadays, and rumor has it they're going to get rid of it as far as the manual versions go after this year. So anyway, it's pretty much always been this shape and pretty much this size. It's gotten a little bit bigger over the years, but realistically, yes, it's all the GTI now. The GTI, being the sporty one, always had kind of a nice lip kit and honeycomb look, red accents and things like that, which was really cool. But that kind of what differentiated it. But what's different between the Mark 7 and the Mark 8, because that's kind of what we're talking about here, is I personally like the fact that the GTI now has more of my generation's Golf R look on the front bumpers. I find them a lot more aggressive, a lot more sporty looking, expensive looking, so that's really cool. Now, what you're going to get too, look-wise, is you're going to get those beautiful LED lights front and back, which is really cool, an illuminated front. And as you can see on the back, one of the things I like is a little design feature, practical thing, is the tailgate, the little logo pops open, and that's where your rear view camera is. So that is really neat. I like that. So that's kind of what's changed a little bit between the Mark 7 and the Mark 8. So I really do like that look a lot better. Now, when we're talking look too, you're going to talk wheels, because now you can get Golf R 19-inch wheels, which is pretty awesome on there, which this one has. And you're also going to get Golf R brakes from last generation too. So they look pretty cool on there and they work well. We'll test them out in the performance type test. But yeah, and so aesthetically, not a huge difference, but again, just those nice little refinements, which I like and appreciate. But really where it's different as far as styling goes is on the inside here. So not a lot different other than the fact that when you come up here. Now, one of the things that I liked about my car, the Mark 7, was it had more of a cockpit type feel in my estimation. This is more a little bit open, but I really do like that. Like my Golf, this dash is angled towards you, which is really, really interesting. Now, one of the changes that we want to talk about, like we talked about, there's more refinement, you've got more modern tech, and you've got more performance. So let's talk about performance to start. So it still uses the EA 888 2-liter TSI direct injected engine with the aluminum heads and the iron block 16 valve dual overhead cam engine that is well known because it's quite a grunty little thing with lots of power, and we'll test out. So that's really good. But when we talk about power, they've actually given you almost 15 more horsepower and 15 more pound-feet of torque, which is pretty good. So you're looking at 241 horsepower and 273 pound-feet of torque, which gets this little thing moving from 0 to 60, and believe it or not, around 5.8 seconds, they say. And you're actually not going to suffer that much with this awesome 6-speed manual transmission here, like sometimes you do. Back in the day, it was always the automatic that was slower and worse on gas, but nowadays it's quite the opposite. And when we talk about performance, well, one of the things that they've done for a while now, which is really awesome, is the VAQ limited slip differential up front. So it's basically their Heldex system out of their Golf R, but going in a different direction, so east-west instead of north-south, and it works really good. So you got clutch packs, electronic system there, so it's really quick, really engaging. Now, what else that you have as well to help put that power down, because this is front-wheel drive, is that MQB chassis. So it's always been a really good dynamic chassis, and one of the things that they've done to improve that as well is they put a aluminum subframe up front. So that's going to be about 6 pounds lighter, so that's unsprung weight, which is great, and it's a lot more rigid, which is pretty great too for more performance, because again, that's a lot of power going through those front wheels. So that system will test out, but supposedly works pretty good if it's anything like the other cars that we've tested, like the GLI and things like that. And then of course we got the 6-speed manual, which you love with the golf ball shifter. No more manual brake, emergency brake, but that's okay. It is nice on a car like this because there's certain safety features like hill hold and things like that that you can use if you're uncomfortable with a manual or just learning. Now, what else to talk about performance-wise? Again, as we said, we got those upgraded brakes, upgraded wheels, stickier rubber nowadays as well, which is going to help put that power down. They've actually included more cooling, so if you do take this on track, it's going to work a little bit better as well. And of course, you got that electronic steering, it works well, but you got strut front, multi-link rear, and this has always been a great handling vehicle. One of the reasons was that great wheelbase. So it was around 103 inches. What they've done now is they've actually half an inch longer in the wheelbase and a full inch longer on the vehicle. Now, when it comes to styling, on the pictures, they don't look a lot different. In person, every time I saw one drive by, I was like, I don't know. Kind of looks more like a wagon. I know I'm going to get some bad comments. I've never been a wagon person. I don't know why, but it looks more like a wagon to me. Just that little bit difference. But I tell you what, from a practicality standpoint, because I own one of these things, it is nice to have that little bit of extra space in those back seats, which we'll talk about in a second, and in the trunk, of course. But from a stability and dynamic perspective, yes, you're going to get even better handling out of this now with that extra little bit longer wheelbase, and it's a very, very stable vehicle. So really, really great there. Now, when we're talking about changes on the inside, well, one of the things that I love about my car is the practicality. You know, it is a little bit more expensive for this type of vehicle, but the practical features they put in there. So as you can see in the back, you still got about 20 cubic feet of space, but on a vehicle like this and at this price point, yes, I know it's getting up there in price because these can range anywhere from the 30s to 40,000s now, Canadian plus fees and taxes. So that's getting up there, but still under the average price of 50,000. frozen. But the things I like there, you can see on the tailgate, we already mentioned about how they hide the little backup camera so it never gets frozen over or dirty or things like that. But then you got the handles to help pull down the tailgate, which is nice, again, just so you don't get your hands dirty, just that much more convenient on both sides. And then, of course, on the inside, you got all different kinds of hooks to tie things down for your grocery bags or cargo and things like that I appreciate. You even got a 12-volt plug-in back there, which not all cars have. And you can take that concealer and put it down for load level space, which I think is cool, and just a nice handy spot to put it. And of course, you got a little bit more storage under there where the spare tire is as well. And what I like as well is, of course, most cars got the 60-40 split seats, but you've got a pass through there, so that way you can still have at least 4 people and put skis or, you know, something that you've gone to shopping or hockey stick here in Canada for the Canadian cargo test. But yeah, the level of practicality back there is great, and it continues on to the back seats, and that's what I love. You can see you got plenty of room for me at 5'7" and 150 pounds, and Moose Baby and somebody else. And you've got cup holders in the middle, you've got cup holders on the sides. It really is super practical that way. And if you upgrade to basically the leather package, I'm calling it, or the performance package, you can also get 3-zone climate control back there. But even in the back of the seats, you think is pretty cool, because they've got a spot that you can put your phone there or something to keep the kids or adults entertained. Yeah, but really the claim to fame is when you come up front here. So this is the Autobahn. You can get a base GT, because as we said, you don't really get a Golf anymore. So a base GT is going to be an automatic, kind of look like more like mine with those conventional wheels that are a little bit smaller. But yeah, just a nice all-around car that comes with a lot nowadays. But if you're more of a traditional GTI buyer, like let's say an enthusiast when we say that, well, you're probably going to want the Autobahn, which this is. It's going to give you a little bit more, but also you can go all the way up to the premium. Now the performance package, which is kind of tricky because it's more about premium than performance. You're going to get the leather seats, the upgraded hardened carbon stereo, heads-up display, sunroof, things like that. Now, you can get the sunroof and the cloth seats, which everyone likes, like this with the plaid, the famous GTI seats on all the models, which I appreciate as well. So it seems like they've done a good job that way. You've got this beautiful Golf R steering wheel. These seats have always been comfortable, firm, yeah, but also keep you in there, because this car has got to do a bunch of different things. And GTI and the Golf R have always been, Golf in general, famous for just being probably the best all-around car that you can get. Now, very comfortable up here. Like I said, you do feel a little bit segregated in the sense of an enthusiast that you would want, but everything is practical, ergonomic, easy to see, easy to get to for everyone. The things I liked with these vehicles, you got the German sounding doors, thump, and you got great visibility, high belt line, thick pillars. Like, the thing is a little tank for sure. Now, of course, as we said, you're going to get everything: wireless, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, wireless charging, power this, power that. But one of the things I really like, though, is the gauge. Now, this used to only be on the Golf R, so you've got the electronic digital gauge here, and what's really cool, we got it on the GTI exclusive mode here, but as you can see on the sides, you can change those, which is kind of neat. And the thing that I really like with the Audi Volkswagen group is that you can put the full map on there. Do you need it? I don't know. Is it right there? Yeah, but I know it's pretty cool. I really like that. But really, let's talk about the elephant in the room here, which is this infotainment. I personally don't think that it is that bad. Actually, it's more than not that bad. The actual infotainment itself, like the user interface, is great. To me, it works just fine. It's more the inputs that everybody's been complaining about. I personally think that it kind of, all the cars are doing it. It looks tacked on and cheap to me. I don't know why they do that. I'd rather have it integrated right into the dash like my Mark 7. I think it looks more expensive and premium, but that's just me. But anyway, the user interface works great. I love the fact that it's configurable. It's like your phone. You can move things around, and as we said with the Atlas video, widgets. I still live in the 90s, so that's wonderful. You can do lots of stuff like that and play around with stuff. Yeah, it's it works well. Really, like I said, it's just that these things here don't light up, but you know, it's not that big of a deal, because realistically, if you own this car, you've got either volume up and down here, or you've got your heat and you know, temperature and that type of stuff up and down. And then you've got your temperature control on the sides. And as you can see, it also has the gesture controls, which work better than mine, which is great. But yeah, I mean, if you really want, all you got to do is double tap this and it will bring up your seats. Because one of the things people complain about, they don't want to be fishing around a menu. So you got your heated steering wheel button here on your steering wheel, heated steering wheel button here, and then you've got, you know, your heated seats that are they're built in. So I mean, it's really not that bad. And what is pretty cool as well is the home screen, just like my iPhone. And what you can do is, you know, like with the vehicle here, which is pretty cool, you got different lighting and things like that, which is really awesome, which a lot of people like. And kind of like your phone, you got a swipe down menu. You can just really get to it right there, which is awesome. And which is really cool too is they've got like mood lighting, desire, euphoria. Ooh, I even pronounced that properly. You know, vitality. What's that? I need that. I'm getting old. But yeah, no, all in all, it is pretty cool. Changes across here. It's two-tone, which my car isn't for the lighting. So all in all, it's a really fun car. But most importantly is how does it drive? So let's take it for some of those fun driving tests. All right, time for a traffic light Grand Prix acceleration test so we can rush up to the stoplight as fast as we can just to hammer on the brakes. All right, so I'm gonna hit this little haptic button thing here, and we put it into sport. It's red and it's angry and GTI fast. So here we go. Okay, I'm not gonna do any crazy launches or anything like that because this is a brand new vehicle. But let's give it some gusto. Okay, here we go. All right, little wheel hop type thing. A little bit more. Oh, picks up nice. Throws you back in the seat. Ooh, that really gets going in second gear. All right, and hammer on the brakes. Oh, ooh, got a little squirrely there. Okay, we're good though. You could definitely tell that those Golf R brakes from last generation are pretty monstrous and awesome. So I'd have to say pass. All right, now let's see. Can we do a quick turnaround test? Because we just might want to get away from here. All right. All right, gonna squish this down. All right, nice dynamic lines, clear camera. Oh, here we go. That was, I think, like it was a normal 2 or 3 point turn. I like it. Pass. Okay, time for our highway and handling test. Just to give an idea of how this thing gets on the highway. Is it zippy? Is it nice, quiet, and comfortable? So here we go. All right, so we're gonna go a little NASCAR style, probably a little faster than you should with just this VAQ here. Okay, so not a lot of body roll. Really is also in sport mode here. As you can see, this rubber sticks. These are the summer tires. But yeah, really sticks well. Okay, here we go. You hear the little, you can hear the little burpee type thing is now, like here, I'll put it down. Third here, listen. Or maybe I gotta go a bit slower. There you go. I don't believe my car does that. That's pretty awesome. So, all right, so let's hit this button here and let's put it down into eco mode. Actually, comfort. Let's do comfort here. So we're gonna put it in 6th gear, total opposite here. So it should change the engine to something a little bit more quiet. We've brought down the RPMs. It's a little bit windy of a day today, so this is a really good, realistic idea of what this would sound like on the highway. So that's not bad. So one of the things we said is refinement. They talked about how the Mark 8 here is a lot more refined. I can tell you that with the clutch pedal, it seems like that SI that we did, very, I don't know, smooth. It's hard to explain. Mine seems more mechanical, and my BRZ, this seems like the SI, very smooth. Yeah, but works well. Didn't stall it, as you saw. It's kind of heavy, but in a sporty way, but definitely not from an exhausting perspective, that's for sure. Steering, yeah, it does tighten up a lot, of course, with the sport mode and things like that, but it's a nice light steering here on comfort when you want it to be. Yeah, it's nice. It really is nice. It is a nice, comfortable vehicle. You've got all different kinds of changes that you can make with your seats and the lighting. You even have moods now, things like that. So it is a really comfortable place to be. But one of the other things on the highway with all this new modern tech is, how is the Volkswagen with some of this new modern tech. So one of the things that I like here is this kind of lane keep. I don't know what Volkswagen calls there, I call it lane keep. So I believe you got to be going about highway speed, which we are, and I'm also going to turn on the cruise control as well, because what you can do is definitely not hands-free by any means, but what you can do is really kind of relax if you're taking a long trip on the highway, and as long as you're focused with two hands on the wheel looking forward, it does a lot of that work for you. And really it does go around the corners and things like that. Really it just gets confused like any of the systems sometimes, because it's not autonomous driving linked up to your GPS or something. So I would have to say, all in all, this is a very nice, comfortable vehicle. That's one of the things I really like about ours, is of course sporty on those back roads and things like that, but it's just such a nice vehicle to be in town, which we're going to test in a second for parking and just getting around, and just in general, it's just a really great highway cruiser, really good on fuel for this type of car. You can get around people and you have conversations, and the seats are comfortable, and you can put anything and everything that you ever wanted into this car within reason, as far as cup holders and you know, little cubby holes and things like that go. So let's go on to our next test. Okay, now that we're at the mall, let's see how easy this thing is to park realistically. Okay, so let's try to find a spot here. All right, because this is what happens when we come to the mall, right? I never find a spot. It's always never convenient. All right, here we go. All right, we're gonna back in. Okay, down and squish. Okay, like we said, we got those dynamic lines. Perspective looks not too bad. I'm gonna use the mirrors just to be on the safe side, because these are real cars. Okay, so good so far. And yeah, pass. We can go to the mall. Well, if you like this video, hit the like button, subscribe, turn on your notifications, and check out one of our other cool enthusiast car reviews so we get more cool cars like this one and our upcoming review. So we started off this review by looking to see if this Mark 8 with its more refinement, more modern tech, and even better front engine, front wheel drive performance could coax me out of my Mark 7. Well, the answer, drum roll, surprise, surprise, it's neutral. I'm gonna say I'm not sure. No, for sure this is definitely a better car than my Mark 7 and even the Mark 7.5. But with this climate, with high interest rates and just hard to spend and save up money for things, I don't know if it's worth it for me to change, but it might be worth it for you. And if I do change, well, chances are I'm gonna have to finally get an SUV. But this is definitely much better of a car, and everything that they say it is there, and especially that 6-speed manual transmission. And remember, this is your last opportunity with this little rabbit to get one of those, because it is going away, at least the manual transmission anyway. So thanks for watching, and we will see you again next time.